Hello, a warm welcome to you in the Ghatna Chakra book video. Let's begin this journey where we will present every topic in a simple, clear, and exam-oriented manner.
Hey, welcome! When you think about a country's constitution, it's easy to see it as just, a rule book, right? But it's so much more than that. It's a story. And today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating chapter of India's story, looking at two powerful forces that shaped it: the actual people who wrote it, and the promises they baked right into it for everyone who would come after.
And that really tees up the big question we're tackling today. How do you build a nation with fewer people, but with stronger promises? I know, it sounds like a riddle, doesn't it? But the answer tells you something profound about how history forges a nation's soul, and it's all hidden right there in the Indian Constitution. All right, so let's start with part one, the people. Because before a single law or article was written down, there was a room full of individuals. These were the architects of a new nation, the group we know as the Constituent Assembly, and their journey, it's absolutely central to everything that came next.
So, the original vision? It was huge. The plan was for a Constituent Assembly of 389 members. Just think about that number for a second. It was a massive group designed to represent the incredible diversity of the entire subcontinent. This number really shows you the scale of their ambition. They were writing a future for everyone.
But of course, history had other plans. On June 3, 1947, the Mountbatten Plan was announced. Now, this wasn't just some political memo. This was a seismic event. It was the plan that led to the partition of India and the creation of Pakistan. It didn't just change the map, it fundamentally changed the assembly itself.
And the result of that plan was immediate and just profound. The assembly went from 389 members all the way down to 299. Why? Because many members left to form a separate constituent assembly for the new nation of Pakistan. This completely reshaped the very group that was supposed to define India's future.
When you see it like this, as a bar chart, it's more than just a drop in numbers, isn't it? It represents a deep, historic division. The immense task of building a nation now fell to a smaller, more focused group. And you just have to ask yourself, how did this incredible challenge shape the document they would end up creating? Okay, so that brings us to part two, the promises. What did this smaller, more focused assembly actually produce? Well, in the face of all that division, they created a document of unity. They wrote down a set of promises, words that were specifically designed to bind the nation together and guide its leaders forever.
And these foundational promises? They're formally laid out in what's called the third schedule of the Constitution. This isn't just a summary. It contains the exact text, the solemn oaths and affirmations that every single future leader of India has to take before they can take office.
And this is where you see the incredible foresight of the people who wrote this. The third schedule gives leaders a choice. You can take an oath, which is for those who want to invoke God or a divine being. Or you can take an affirmation, for those who'd rather just make a solemn promise on its own terms. In a country with such immense diversity, this was a massive statement, a foundational commitment to inclusivity right from day one.
So now we can start to bring these two big ideas together, the legacy. This is the story of how a very specific group of people, forged in a moment of historic upheaval, managed to enshrine a set of universal principles into law for everyone. So here's the powerful connection, the whole point. The trauma of partition, the event that shrank the assembly from 389 members to just 299, didn't create a weaker document. If anything, it seems to have forged an even stronger resolve to create a document of profound unity. And that resolve is perfectly captured in the third schedule, where the nation's promises are written down to bind every leader, no matter their background, no matter their belief.
When you boil it all down, it comes to this one powerful idea. A constitution is absolutely born from its moment in history. And in this case, it was a moment of incredible change and division. But its true power, the thing that makes it last, that comes from the promises it holds for the future.
And that really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We've seen how a specific group of people, shaped by a monumental historic event, created a set of principles designed to last forever. So it makes you wonder, how does that delicate balance between the people of the moment and the principles for all time hold up today, not just in India, but really in any democracy that's trying to live up to its founding promises? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.